Hello and welcome to the Dr. Hibernica Comics Review. This week we're going to be looking at Batman and Red Robin number 19 from DC Comics. After the death of Damian Wayne, the Batman and Robin series has been rebranded as Batman and N, where N is another member of the Bat family. This issue focuses on Batman and Red Robin, Timothy Drake. How is it? Let's jump in and find out. This book was making waves in the comic circles thanks to its cover long before it was released, thanks to the image of Carrie Kelly. The reason Carrie's appearance is so significant is because of who she is. Carrie Kelly has never been a real person in the comic book continuity sense of the phrase. She was Robin in Frank Miller's The Dark Knight Returns. If you're interested in comics and want to read the classics, that is one of them. It took place inside a continuity of its own. Nothing that happened in Dark Knight Returns really happened in any Batman continuity. So the resurrection of fan favorite Carrie Kelly is a big deal to fans of the modern age classics. This is the first Batman book I've picked up in the New 52, partially because I just wasn't interested in what Grant Morrison was doing with Batman, so I never picked up any of the books regardless of the author. Mostly, this one drew me in because Tomasi has brought in Carrie, and I want to know where he goes with this. So, is this story anything beyond, "Hey look, it's Carrie Kelly"? Let's jump in and find out. We open with a very well done explanation of Carrie's character in the New 52. We know from the first page that she's at least 16, probably a little older, since she can drive. And we get to see her react to someone trying to give her shit. We know from the relatively obscure Shakespearean quotes that she's in love with the theater, and from her reaction to the men in the cars that she's not so in love with smart-ass boys. The next page will show that her hoodie is from Gotham Community College, putting her age around 18 to 20. These are fairly subtle touches demonstrating that the modern age is much better than the Golden or Silver Ages at show don't tell in their stories. Batman and Red Robin number 19 comes directly on the heels of Requiem and the death of Damian, Bruce's son. Bruce obviously is still in denial, and this is the freaking Batman. He's in denial in a big way. Alfred, as is his role, is quite concerned about Bruce's mental health. As well he should be. Carrie, it would appear, has accidentally terrible taste, as she answers the door to find Bruce Wayne standing there while she is wearing a Robin outfit at her superhero costume party. Interestingly, Carrie is the only one with a well-made costume, except for maybe the Wonder Woman in the background. This beautiful creature is Frankenstein's monster. By the current century, he's simply going by Frankenstein. His own series, written by Jeff Lemire, I promise we'll eventually get around to talking about Lemire, was, regrettably, cancelled shortly after the Rot World crossover event. He continues to play a part in Justice League Dark and other books as needed. Frankenstein, Agent of Shade, was among the first books I subscribed to in the New 52, and its cancellation saddened me greatly. Seeing him showing up in other books makes me feel a little bit better. Frankenstein is currently engaged in his favorite pastime of smiting eldritch abominations when he's surprised by an aerial kidnapping attempt. What Batman wants, Batman gets. Melmoth's beard! Who dares? As a brief aside, Melmoth the Wanderer was one of the classic characters of Gothic fantasy. Written by Charles Maturin, the book is available in the public domain, having been written in 1820, and is well worth your time to read, or if reading isn't your thing, you can listen to a recording from LibriVox. This is my third transmission today. Please contact me. Yes, what is it, Alfred? Ah, finally. You haven't checked in for 6 days and been busy. Work to do. Picked up a package. Batman has gone off the radar, so to speak, in his quest for Frankenstein, not telling Alfred any of what he's up to. Alfred is naturally even more worried when he finds out that Batman is flying around the Arctic without his winter gear, and contacts Tim Drake for help.
This is not how or where I envisioned our first meeting taking place. How did you find Castle Frankenstein?
Batman has brought Frankenstein to the home of his creator, Victor. His plan is to reverse engineer the life force that keeps him moving so that he can resurrect Damien. Because of course that's what he wants to do. He's the freaking Batman, and he's in denial. I told you this was not going to end well.
I'm a freak of forbidden science. What you plan on doing is unholy.
One does not simply hold Frankenstein against his will. He easily shatters Batman's restraints and sends the Caped Crusader flying. I absolutely love this panel with the rubble spelling out the sound effect for the hardened gel shattering.
It's just his stitching. I have every intention of putting him back together, Red Robin.
Batman's grief and denial have led him to ripping apart another of the DCU's heroes to try to resurrect Damien. When you're the freaking Batman and you want something, you stop at nothing to get it, whether you should or not. Batman does make a very good point of explaining to Red Robin that both he and Superman have been dead, but got better. Red Robin isn't buying it any more than Frankenstein did, and responds to it as only a teenager could, by blowing the shit out of everything. While Red Robin obviously isn't real happy with what he's been forced to do, it's clear that he believes that he's done the right thing. Personally, I tend to agree with him. But hey, I'm the villain here, so what do I know? His experiment ruined, Batman exits stage up, as he does, leaving Red Robin with the pieces of Frankenstein and a laboratory in flames.
I would appreciate a hand getting myself together.
Nobody can say Frankenstein doesn't have a sense of humor, at least. So, how does Batman and Red Robin number 19 live up to the Carrie Kelly hype machine? I thought the inclusion of Carrie in the New 52 was very well handled. There's still a lot to learn about her character, but this book does an excellent job of setting her up. I was a big fan of Carrie in The Dark Knight Returns, and I'm really looking forward to seeing where Tomasi takes the character in her New 52 story. As for the rest of the book, I'm very pleased by it. I was pleasantly surprised by the inclusion of Frankenstein, and seeing somebody like Batman in denial in a universe where death is often little more than a minor inconvenience, especially with somebody like Frankenstein running around rubbing it in, was interesting to say the least. I'm really looking forward to the insights into the New 52 Bruce's character that we're going to be getting throughout the rest of this storyline. In a lot of ways, this book was more Batman and Frankenstein than Batman and Red Robin, but it was still good to see Tim show up and call Batman out on his shenanigans, both in this book and in other books. This was the first Batman book that I've picked up in the New 52. It certainly will not be the last. If you haven't gotten into Batman yet, this is a great place for you to start. If you have gotten into Batman and aren't reading the Batman and series, well, this is a good place for you to start. It's just that good of a book.